Hi everyone, my name's Deanna Dow and I'm a postdoctoral fellow in clinical psychology at the UCLA Center for Autism Research and Treatment. And today I'm here to talk with you about managing challenging behaviors while we're all stuck at home during this safer at home time. And this is a topic that I'm pretty familiar with because I do have two small children at home. So we will be talking about ways to prevent challenging behaviors and what to do if you do see them happen. So I want to start by just saying that a pandemic is not the time to try to be parent of the year, and you really need to have realistic expectations for yourself and for your child. So we do expect behaviors to be more challenging during this time. Our kids have their schedules completely altered. They are not, allowed to go to the beach or to the playground or do the things that they're used to doing. They may not be sleeping as well or as consistently because they don't have, consistent wake-up times to get to school like they normally do. A lot of our kids also have services that have unfortunately been paused during this time. So they're getting less support at school through other providers, maybe even in the home. And so we're asking them to learn and work and do all of the things we always expect them to do, but their world is totally turned upside down and they may really not understand what's happening. So we really have to expect that these things are going to be more challenging. And then we have to be more understanding of ourselves too during this time and give ourselves some slack. So we may have other kids at home. We may be working from home. And so we really need to prioritize our own self-care during this time. And hopefully you were able to see Alana McVeigh's video that she made about self-care. That really is what you should be considering first and foremost. And an analogy we like to use that maybe you've heard before is to secure your own oxygen mask before assisting others. So just like if you were going on a plane, which we all wish we were right now, this idea of ensuring your own well-being before you're able to provide that support that you need to your child is so, so important. So we really, really want to stress that. We also want you to be realistic about what you can do and what your child can do. So instead of expecting the whole day to be wonderful and you're going to provide all these supports and you're going to see perfect behavior, it's better to set yourself up for success. So identify a certain time during the day where you have full attention free and your child, this would be a good time of day for your child, and think about the things that you want to work on during those times. Don't worry about the day as a full day because you're not going to realistically be able to see those really good behaviors all day long. So quality over quantity for sure when you're considering these things. So what can you do to prevent challenging behaviors? So one thing to consider, and this is something you may have heard about if you've worked with ABA therapists or other teachers that talk about this, are what we call the ABCs of behavior. So when you think about a challenging behavior, you have to not only think about that behavior specifically, but what happens before and after that behavior that may have made it happen in the first place and may encourage it to happen more. So A stands for antecedent. What was happening? What was the setting? What time of day it was? Was your child hungry? Were they tired? What was going on in the environment that may have contributed to that behavior happening? B is for the behavior. What was that specific behavior that you are interested in understanding more about and in addressing? C is the consequence. What happened immediately following that behavior? So how did you react? How did maybe another child in the house react or another parent react? Was there a punishment? Was there attention given, either positive attention or negative attention, like yelling? Did you try and redirect your child? Did you try and ignore? So those are some strategies that sometimes work better, ignoring behaviors we don't want to see more of, because even if the behavior we're giving is negative, like yelling, it is attention that we're giving to that behavior. And so that could keep that behavior going. So you really want to consider the context and what's happening as a consequence in order to determine why is this behavior occurring and how can I change it in the future. Some basic strategies you can try to prevent challenging behaviors. Dr. Emily Moulton gave a great talk about establishing routines. We know routines are super, super important for all kids and actually for adults too. So that's one of our self-care tips, is to have your own routine and to stick to it. But kids really, really thrive on predictable routines, so they know what to expect. So that's a great way to prevent some of these challenging behaviors from coming out. You can also use visual supports like a calendar for the day, a schedule for the day, have pictures, or even do, first we're doing this, then we're doing this, even with pictures, so the child can really understand, especially for our children who have more difficulties understanding verbal language. It's really good to structure your activities in a predictable way as well. Make sure they have a beginning, middle, and end. So if we're painting, we're going to have a setup period, we're going to paint, and then we're going to clean up to signal that the next activity is coming. So we don't want to be going between activities randomly so the child's not really sure what to expect. Another thing that can be really helpful in structuring activities is using a timer. So I know for my daughter, she loves asking Alexa to set the timer. So if that's something you have in your house that your child is into, that can be really helpful. A lot of kids are more visual and like visual timers. So even like a sand timer can be really helpful so that they know when that time will be up. They also have some clock timers that will change a certain color before you'll have to move on. So 5 minutes before, it'll turn yellow. So those things can be really helpful too. The other thing you want to make sure you're doing is when you're seeing good behaviors, you want to praise them. You want to specifically praise what you like seeing. I love the way that you cleaned up your paper and paint. Now we can have a snack. So specifically saying exactly what you're happy with and what you want to see more with, and then transitioning on to the next activity in a predictable way. If there are certain target behaviors that you want to work on, so things that are most challenging, you want to prioritize those things and figure out what it is you want to work on at each specific week or month that really is the most important to you. And you can set up a rewards chart. So I actually have my daughter's rewards chart, which is nothing sophisticated, as you will see. But we have 3 behaviors we want her to work on. We have the days of the week. She earns stickers, and then we have a daily prize at the bottom. And then we also have a weekly prize that she can win for getting a set amount of stickers. So for her, one of the most challenging things for her is to stay in her bedroom at night and not leave and try and come wake mom and dad up. And so that is on, and every morning she gets her sticker, she gets to put it on herself, and then we talk about the weekly reward that she can earn for getting all of her stickers. So you decide on a few things you want to work on. You can set up something like a sticker chart, and you want to make sure you have more immediate rewards. So things like stickers are great. Daily rewards like earning a special movie or a special ice cream treat or getting to go on a walk by herself with mom. Any of those things can be really good daily rewards. If you have older kids, you may want to consider using more of a point system so that they can earn rewards over the week for something bigger like a little prize. Sometimes I'll get little toys from Amazon, and that can be the weekly reward that they can earn so many points or stickers for. A lot of parents are probably also interested in how to use consequences. And so a lot of what I've been talking about so far is how to prevent behaviors from happening, how to set things up in a predictable way where the child knows what is expected of them. But sometimes you may need to set a consequence, and really we encourage consequences, especially like timeouts, to be used sparingly in a way that the child knows exactly what's going to happen. They can predict it, and it's only for specific behaviors that are really, really something that you don't want to see again. So aggression is a great example. A child that knows that if I hit my sibling, I will be put in timeout. That's a good example of one way to use it. And the idea of timeout is really for the child to be removed. The parent's attention is removed, the preferred activity is removed, and it's a time for them to calm down and reset. So you don't want to give a timeout in a way that you're angry and you're shouting at your child, because that's not going to encourage them calming down. So if you need a break, you can step away for a second, take a deep breath, say very neutrally, now it's time for timeout, and then have the designated spot for your child. Some people like to go by however many minutes of the child's age. So if the child is 5, it's a 5-minute timeout. And there really is not a whole lot of evidence behind that. We just want to see that the child calms down. So really it could be a shorter amount of time, as long as they can show that they are calm, they're not crying, they're not screaming, and they're ready to re-enter whatever the activity is. It's also not usually helpful to talk about what happened. And I know a lot of parents, want to tell their child, this is why you earned the timeout. Often that can become more emotional. So we actually would suggest not talking about it. If it's a timeout set up for something the child's aware of that they're going to get, then hopefully that will be familiar to them. And then if you want to talk about it, you could talk about it later in the day when everyone is calm. So during this time, we would really encourage you to find activities that you and your child both enjoy. So going outside can be really helpful, going for a walk. If there's certain toys that you both, have a lot of fun playing with, those are great activities to spend some time on every day. Make sure you have some great one-on-one time with your child, because that will really make them feel close to you and supported and loved. And then that will really hopefully prevent a lot of these challenging behaviors. But we know you guys are doing your best. You're doing an awesome job. Keep it up. We're all in this together. If you need any more resources, you can go to the COVID-19 section under resources on the CART website, and there's lots of really great materials for parents on there. And hopefully we'll be able to see you guys soon. But for now, hang in there. We miss you all, and thanks for tuning in today.